We're going to demonstrate the procedure to assemble AR lower. This is a SMI lower, one of their manufacturers. First thing we want is the mag catch. Mag catch goes in, spring goes on from the opposite side, button goes in with the serrations out. Get it started. Once you've captured it, I use this tool, which is a pivot pin tool, to hold it in and run it in until it touches the end of the threads on the tool, which you can see right there what I'm talking about. Now the mag catch is functional. Second part we want to work on is the trigger. And to start on the trigger, we want first to install the spring. Second part to go in is disconnector spring. Trigger assembly sets into the receiver. Before I install the pins, I like making sure they have a light coat of oil on them, and I'm using gun butter in this case. First you line up the hammer, and then the disconnector has to also be put in a line. Which helps to use a slave from the other side. Pin goes in flush on both sides. Next part goes in is the hammer. Hammer spring has to be installed. And starts in this position. And again, I'm going to use the slave pin to hold it in place. And when it gets halfway in, it's going to hit the J spring, which is the retainer, and we'll usually need tapped past that. Next part in is the safety, just a test to make sure that it functions correctly. And the gun has to be cocked for the safety to go in. By holding the safety up, I can test it. It won't stay because it doesn't have its detent yet, but with the safety rotated down, it will release. At this point, I want to oil the contact points at the sear and the disconnector. Next part in is the pivot pin, which is the front, and that's the flat, longer of the two pins. Next step is the bolt catch lever, and I'm going to start by getting the roll pin started here. Insert the spring, the plunger, next part is the trigger guard. And we're going to start by setting the pin. And we're going to insert the guard and lock its detent in the rear. Once the trigger guard's in, pins line, and seated. I'm going to test it, make sure that it works by pushing the detent. It swings and works good. Okay. Next step is installing the grip. First we want to install the safety detent in its hole. We'll put the spring in the grip and the grip screw. The last step is the takedown pin. The detent goes in, and the spring. And the spring is retained by the buffer tube washer and the buffer tube nut, and that completes the receiver.